What is up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of our Leeds United career mode in FIFA 17. This is episode number 8 now of the series, and I'll start this episode off by showing you that we've had a number of international offers, but none of which I am interested in, as at the moment in time, I'm not bothered about managing an international side. Unless England come along and ask me, then possibly that might swing me that way. But we start the episode off with a cup game here against West Brom at the Hawthorns, which is going to be an interesting one, this one, because not only was it our first Premier League test of the series, I actually bumped up the difficulty to Legendary for this one as well. So you're going to be seeing a Legendary gameplay, and not only that, it's actually a very interesting one as well, because normally when I'm playing Legendary, I don't tend to create chances and we don't see chances happening, but because it was a Premier League side, it just felt a bit more like they were willing to go forward and they didn't have as many men behind the ball as what I normally faced here. But I do have an apology in store for this first gameplay of the episode, because in the first half the footage corrupted and I didn't realise it was actually not recording properly until half time of the first half. So what you're seeing is gameplay from the second half and beyond, simply because once I paused it at half time and I was I was going to do my Netflix, because basically when I record these episodes I catch up on stuff that I've missed on Netflix and stuff like that. So when I was recording the episode off, I went to then check the gameplay to make sure everything was still in track and recording, and actually I realised at half time that it wasn't really working, and there was a big massive it just kept going a bit corrupt and a bit weird. So the reason with that you don't see the first half in this one is simply because of that. It's nothing to do with the fact that I missed it out in the editing or anything like that. It's because the footage was corrupt and I only managed to save it from the second half. I managed to fix it obviously from half time, and that's what you're going to see in this first gameplay of the episode. But I can tell you as well, you do miss 2 goals in the first half. We actually scored to take the lead through Alex Moa. It was a tap in, and I forgot as well at the time of doing this recording, I could have actually showed you before I went out the game by simply looking at the highlights, but I forgot to do it, which is my apology for that. And then West Brom did equalise as well in the first half through I can't remember exactly who it was. Someone took a strike on, it came back off the post, hit Rob Green, and ended up going back in. It ended up hitting him and going in the back of the net, which is a bit unfortunate for us. But we come into this game obviously at 1-1 at half-time. You're going to be seeing in a second here, and it's actually a very interesting second half, and beyond that, because not only did I feel as though West Brom were committing men more forward, I felt as though my players were actually, I basically set them up to play on the counter-attack this game. I didn't want them obviously steaming forward and trying to hit goals on the break, I wanted to catch them on the break pretty much and just see how we got on there. So I decided that I was going to set it up to counter-attacking football and see how we could do with that. And honestly, I felt a lot better than I normally do playing championship games against this West Brom Premier League side, as they had the first chance of the second half here. Very nice save by Rob Green, though, as we created a chance for ourselves in the 82nd minute of this one. Joel Green, sorry, not Julian. Joel Green is on the pitch today, obviously, because he's playing very, very well for us at Moat, as Moat gets through in on goal, but it's a nice save by the West Brom goalkeeper. It might be Ben Foster, but I can't exactly remember who they named as their starting 11 for this game. As in the 90th minute here, we managed to clear the ball away, and that was the way the game would end. So it means we're going into extra time, and if nothing happens in there, it means we will be seeing penalties for the first time during the series. And if you know, I can't take penalties to save my life. I know, just a word of warning, I do want to apologise if you don't want me using the what's it called, the penalty bonus help tip thing. I will turn it off if that's the case, but at the time of doing this I didn't realise you could turn it off. This was before I'd recorded my Ultimate Team series, the 100 Club. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. We had a penalty in that which I used the little tip bar thing and ended up missing anyway, so yeah, I apologise if you don't want to see that, but I do have it on for this penalty shootout that you will be seeing coming up in a second here, as I've just spoiled the episode for you, as West Brom was so close to stealing it in the dying minutes of the game. And as you can see, we went into penalties, and Nasser Chadli would be the man to take West Brom's first penalty kick. Their new signing tried to dink Rob Green, and it was a really weird save in the end, as Rob Green makes the save initially. And as, like I said, we do have the penalty tip thing on, as Antonsen puts that in the bottom corner for us in our first penalty kick of the penalties. And Berahino stepped up for West Brom's second, does a little dink, and I guessed the right way with Rob Green, but unfortunately he can't keep that one out, as it was 1-1 in this penalties shootout, as Suleiman Dukara makes it 2-1 to us there. I don't know who this player is, I can't really tell from the name, but he takes a mega run up here. Look at this, for a crazy run up. He was just looking for power all over the place, and look at that for a penalty right in the bottom corner. Even if I've guessed the right way, I would have not saved that at all. Sacco steps up for us. He's going to make it 3-2, as the keeper was rooted to the spot. Don't know why he didn't move there, as it was, I think this is Claudio Jacob now for West Brom up against Rob Green. We guessed the right way, no, we don't guess the right way, sorry, we guessed the wrong way this time, and he slots that one home. Stuart Dallas now for us. He's going to take his penalty kick, and I thought the keeper would get this one, but it hit the post and went in. Couldn't have been any closer from going out of the goal there, and it very, very thankfully for us, fell in the back of the net. As Rondon again, another big run up here for West Brom, and as you can see here, we end up guessing the right way, and it's getting so frustrating this, because if you watch my squad builder yesterday as well, you will see that we made a save in a penalty, but the keeper could only push it into the net. Just exactly the same as Rob Green's done there, but it didn't matter, because Dioraga would fire home to give us the victory in the penalty shootout. So we won our first penalty shootout of the series, and it's nice to see because I'm not very good at penalties in this year's FIFA. Like I said, if you want me to take off the indicator, the little tip thing where you can see which side and you can see the arrow, I will do that if you want that. Obviously, you can use it in Ultimate Team as well, so if it's there, I don't understand why you wouldn't want to use it. But if you want it for the sake of the series to make it a little bit harder for me, then I will turn it off. But I definitely am not going to be turning it off in Ultimate Team when the games actually do matter. Because I had a penalty as well in one of the finals that I played in to get into the Weekend League, and I thought about turning it off to make it a bit harder, but then I thought, hell no, this is a final of a game that I need to win as well, so I decided I wasn't going to turn it off, and if it's there to be used, use it, is my advice to you guys, as we managed to take down West Brom in the, I think, 4th round, could be the 5th round of the EFL Cup there. It's our first Premier League test, and we've passed it, not with flying colours though, but we managed to barely just pass it there by winning on penalty. So if we do get promoted to the Premier League, this is going to be interesting, because West Brom, as you can see by the match facts, actually beat us all over the board there. They had more possession, more shots, better passing. So in terms of a Premier League side to face, West Brom was a nice one to face firstly, but at the same time, they did dominate the game. So if we do get promoted to the Premier League next season, we do have a lot of work to do in terms of bringing in transfers. And you will be seeing as well, January's not that far away now in terms of where we are. We're actually sat in October currently, so January isn't too far away. And if you've got any advice for anyone who I can sign, leave it a comment. But if you don't, then just, you know, I'll just do what I was going to do in my plans. I have set up a short list of players that I do want to bring in for January, but at the same time, I don't have too much funds available to me, so most of it's probably going to be on pre-contracts, because of the fact that pre-contracts this year are actually fairly good in terms of the players that you can get in your first season. So most of it will be on pre-contracts, and we won't unfortunately be seeing those players that come into the club until the next season, because obviously if you sign them in January in a pre-contract, they don't come until the following year, so, well, following season, beginning of it. So that is unfortunate, but I'm happy with how we're going on the mid squad at the moment as well. So if we do lose any people, we do have a couple of people still yet to sign new contracts, and they have contracts expiring at the end of the season. One of them I don't want, which is Ross Turnbull, I think. I'm not too bothered about re-signing him. And I think the other one as well is Stuart Taylor at left back. So I do want to try and re-sign him, but if you know what's going on in real life, he didn't sign a new contract for Leeds either. So that means that he probably wants to leave the club. And if that's the case, it means that he might be doing the same here in this career mode. So we've only got 2 players to go in terms of signing new contracts. Stuart Taylor is one. And the other one obviously is Ross Turnbull, but I'm not bothered about Ross Turnbull because we've still got Silvestri and we've got Rob Green anyways. So in terms of goalkeepers, I think we're just fine with those two, so I'm not bothered about re-signing Ross Turnbull. But Stuart Taylor, I am trying to get my hands on and trying to make sure that he signs a new contract. And if he does that, then that'll be all fine and dandy going into next season. We'll have a solid squad here if we can improve on it as well. As we did have our second game of the episode here against Burton Albion. Not really a side that I feared too much going into this, but they gave it a good test. You're going to see in a second the highlights of this game. It was a very interesting one to play, and it was a very enjoyable one as well, because they didn't sit back, they didn't get men behind the ball, they actually came forward and tried to attack me for once. Most of the time when I'm playing this game, as you've seen, we don't concede many goals, because most of the time the computer just sit back and settle for draws, as Anderson had the first chance in this one, but a good save by the goalkeeper, and unfortunately I couldn't put the rebound home with Pablo Hernandez there. But Burton Albion will create their first chance in the 23rd minute, so I was very happy that Burton Albion chose to come forward in this one and not just sit back like I mentioned. And it was a very good chance indeed, and they could have easily taken the lead off this one, as Liam Bridcut gets absolutely mugged off by their central midfielder, and the chance fell to a man in the box who could only unfortunately fire wide for them, but fortunately for us, it went wide obviously. So it's 0-0 still into the 42nd minute now of this game. Burton Albion created another chance as a cross shot, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it a crot. Ended up testing Rob Green as he punched the ball over the bar, and I was thinking, come on Rob, you should be catching that. He didn't catch it, and they got a corner, of which we managed to defend the initial one, and then you get a second corner from this, so we've been a bit bombarded at the moment in terms of front of goal. 44 minutes into the game, they whipped the corner in. I managed to clear it initially after a bit of a scuffle in the area. Rob Green comes out and punches, but it's not fully cleared by us. We didn't deal with it perfectly, and it comes back in from Burton Albion, and unfortunately again for them, they fire just wide, but again it's a scare for us, and we need to make sure that we're clearing the ball from corners like that. As we had our second chance of this game in the 47th minute. Pablo Hernandez, nice turn on the edge of the area, managed to fire a shot at goal, but unfortunately for us, it goes just wide of that top left corner, which would have been nice to see him hit that. If he'd have scored that goal, then he definitely becomes the player of the season without even having to see, well, what he does in the remainder of the season. But for me, Pablo Hernandez has been miles our best player so far, and he definitely will be the player of the season so far if he continues the way he is. Anderson strike, though, over the bar for us in the 79th minute, and again, we're just trying to get a chance here, and we're trying to work something. As I did manage to put Anderson through one-on-one with the goalkeeper, but unfortunately he could only fire wide of the mark in the 90th minute, and that will be the way the game would end. So he managed to pick up a point here. Very disappointing result, in all honesty, at home to Burton Albion. But as you can see, again, just like that West Brom game, they were the better side in this one. They had more shots, more on target, better possession. So again, we've been dominated in terms of gameplay and still come out with the result. So in terms of that, I'm happy, but at the same time, to only get a point against Burton Albion, I'm not too pleased about, and we will be having to definitely improve if we want to mount a serious push for this Premier League next season. Which, as you can see by the league table there, we're actually still 6 points down on Aston Villa currently, 5 points clear of Birmingham. So at the moment, we sat pretty in third, but that's not where I wanted to be. I wanted to be in the top two, and right now we're not being able to push Aston Villa or Norwich any further than they are currently. So 6 points behind is not a good place to be sat. I want to try and push them right to the end of the game, or right to the end of the season, sorry. And at the moment, we're not doing that. We're struggling to pick up results here and there. When we do pick them up, they're like 1-0 wins and stuff like that. So we're going to have to definitely improve if we want to try and go for that serious push on the top two. As we did take on Norwich here for the most important game so far in the series, I'm going to call it, because this wasn't just a 3 points. This was a 6 point available here against Norwich, which meant we win this game, we apply the pressure on them. We go 4 points behind them, and depending on results at Aston Villa, depend on what happens there, we could still be 3 points behind them if they lose. So this was a very important game, and it was the first chance we played a top two, I think, so far, but I could be wrong. I think we might have actually played Villa already, and if we haven't played them already, it's definitely to come, because I do remember playing them at some point during this series so far. As we see the team that we named there heading out to the pitch. For some reason, the actual commentator was going on about Newcastle and the how poor a start to the season they'd had in the Championship. Obviously, they were favourites to go back up as soon as they got relegated, and in real life as well, they're struggling as well. But at the minute, in terms of FIFA, they are also struggling. They're sat down, I think, in 9th or possibly even 8th place in this as we look at that league table. As you can see, the players shaking hands there. You're going to see the team that we have named in a second, and I took no chances with this side. I named our best side that we've got currently at the club. I think Norwich named their best side as well, so it was going to be an interesting one, this one, because I did want to see how we get on against the other title contenders in this season. Obviously, title-wise, I don't think we're going to win this, but if we can definitely get a top two place, I'll be happy with how the season's gone if we could push for that and try and get it. Norwich's side looked like that, though. John Ruddy, Pinto, Bassong, Martin, Olsen. Olsen's solid in this game. Malumbu is a rock in holding midfield with Tete as well, who is also a rock. Robbie Brady, very good at left midfield. Matt Jarvis on the other side of that. They had such a solid side, but that was our side. So as you can see, pretty much our best side possible, other than the fact that we're having to play Suleiman Dakara up top. I would have liked to have played something like Kamar Roof up there with Antonsen, if possible, but unfortunately fitness and the injury to Kamar Roof didn't allow me to play anyone else other than Suleiman Dakara, as we would create the first chance for ourselves here in the 37th minute, as we managed to take a strike on with Antonsen. It comes back, and unfortunately for us, we only hit the post from the rebound. 42 minutes in, though, Norwich will create their chance, and it's an extremely poor defensive display by me across to the back post, and Taylor doesn't get anywhere near it. And unfortunately for us, this might have actually been, 64 minutes, I think this is actually. Matt Jarvis puts it home for Norwich in the 64th minute of this game. So, 1-0 down in a game that I felt we had to win if we were seriously going to push for top two this season. And it's not a good start, is it, when you look at this, 64 minutes into the game and we're 1-0 down. So that means that we've only got about 20 minutes to try and change this result around. Now, in the situation we are currently in, I'd definitely take a point, but at the start of this game, I wanted nothing more than a win. So, in terms of that, I'm a bit disappointed again here in this episode. We managed to obviously knock West Brom out, but the two games after that West Brom victory, we've suffered in. And as Pablo Hernandez will get us back into this one, 84 minutes into the game, Mr. Reliable slots that one home to make it 1-1. So we are going to, at the moment, if it stays as it is, pick up a single point from this game, which, given the circumstances that we were in not too long ago, I'd definitely take. But at the start of the game, I wouldn't have been too happy with a point. And so far in the Championship, the two games we've had this episode have been not very good for us, let's just call it that way, as that was the way the game would end. A 1-1 draw here at Carrow Road. So unfortunately for us, we didn't manage to get anything more than a point, which means we stay exactly the same as we were going into this game in terms of how far behind we are Norwich. And as you can see, for the first game of the episode, we actually were the better side. So again, this time round, we were the better side, but we found ourselves a goal to nil down in the game, which is a bit disappointing in all honesty. But nevertheless, we managed to pick up a point, and that's obviously a point gained rather than 2 or 3 lost even. So Yeah, I have to look at it on that way, but at the same time, I am a bit disappointed in the fact we haven't managed to pick up a win in this episode in the Championship, and it means that we now sat 7 points behind Norwich, and we have sat even further behind Aston Villa. As you can see there, 31 points we're sat on. They're on 39 and 38 respectively, so that's not good in terms of our push. But we are coming towards the end of the episode. If you have enjoyed, don't forget to drop that like button. As always, thank you all so much for watching the episode and the series. It means so much for your support. But I have been Danny, and I'm out. Peace.